All right. Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me? How's everybody doing? Good evening, everyone. I hope we're all doing well. I hope we're all ready for class today. We've got another wonderful session with you guys. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody had a wonderful night's rest yesterday. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. All right, let's get ready for class. Can't tell your friends if they've not joined the class, they should join the class. Go find everybody and make sure to get everybody ready for class. We've got a lot to digest today. Good evening, everybody. It's so good to have all of you in class today. It's really good. Good evening, everyone. So before we start, let me use this brief moment. Let me get everybody. Let me hear what everybody is doing. Let me hear how everybody has been. Let's talk about what we learned yesterday. Everybody quickly in the chats. Top 5 things you learned from yesterday. Top 5. Quickly. Yeah, I am good now. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for checking in. I'm feeling better. Yeah, once again, we're gonna have another wonderful learning experience. It's good to have everybody in. My day was good. Blessing, how was yours? By day, you're sick. Oh, sorry. And you're even still coming for class. Did they try? Good to have you guys all here today. Blogging. Yes, we talked about blogging. So, you guys, what were some of the things you learned about blogging? Difference between a blog and a website. That's good. I taught you guys about the blogging formats, right? I taught you guys how to open a blog. I showed you guys my Medium account. I showed you guys the basics of blogging, usage of WordPress, good, how to monetize your talents and skills early. I can see that we have very, very good listeners. Yes, Olufunke, I feel better. I am feeling much better. Let's go. You missed the live class yesterday. Oh, I'm so sorry. You should watch the video. I'm sure the video for our last class is already up online. Watch the video, catch up. Yes, how to create a blog using different formats. Like I said, we're going to have a CMS, content management system class. That is now where we're going to cover a lot of them. Or I did tell, yes, how to promote your blog. Make sure you use social media. Just do your best. Is everybody with me? Can everybody hear me? That is good. It's clear that you guys are all extremely good learners. And I'm just happy when I hear everything I taught, you guys are able to remember. Yes, you can own your own blog. Remember, we talked about how much $4 is. We talked about crowdfunding. We talked about yes. SEO is the son to meet Google the father. Yeah, you learn the meaning of SEO. So today's class, at least the second half of today's class, we're going to really go into SEO. You're going to learn a lot about the ins and outs about it. Then tomorrow, on Thursday, we're still going to cover more about SEO. But I think we've done well. I've heard everything. You guys are excellent. I've heard everything you guys have had to say. Today's class is very, very, very good. It's very good that you guys are at the top. It's wonderful. So let's talk about what we're learning today. Like I said, this is week 6. We are halfway through our program. I am so in awe. Let me use the word. I'm in awe of you guys. You guys are incredible to keep it this long. I'm seeing a lot of the same faces. Good evening, everyone. I'm seeing a lot of the same faces, and you guys are all still here. It is really good to have everybody here. Like I said, it's week 6. How is the mood board today? The mood board is very nice. Like I said, this is week 6 of our Ladies in Tech Africa program. I'll just say it out loud, it has been an incredible journey with you guys. We've talked about learning about the basics of writing, structure. We've learned a lot, haven't we? Branding. So we're talking about blogging and article writing today. So we've already gone through SEO or optimization. No, okay, we've not gone through SEO optimization, but we've gone through blog post and structure and format. Today, we're now going to focus on article writing, and then we'll take a deep dive into SEO and optimization for your blogs. So let's just go straight into it. For today's lesson, we're going to talk about the basics of article writing, article post structure and format, and then we'll go into SEO optimization for blogs and articles in general. But it's mainly going to be for blogs, because if you remember what I said, articles just usually find their way onto blogs, and blogs are usually where you host articles, right? Good. Let's get started. Like I said, today we're going to take the basics of article writing. So let's start. What is article writing? And we're going to start with what an article is. An article is a piece of instructive, persuasive, or explanatory content that is typically non-fiction. The demand for article writers is stronger than ever. News and specialty publications need good articles, but so do businesses. Article writing is increasingly an essential component of the content marketing strategy for small to enterprise level businesses. Therefore, they all need writers. I've just given you some assurance that you people are still needed, right? A quality piece of writing not only gets noticed by search engines, but also helps build a relationship with the potential customers or keep customers engaged. Now, in this section, you learn the article writing format for different websites and how to put it up on Google. Now, what is article writing? And then we talk about the 4 types of article writing. An article is an effective format to package and deliver information to a larger audience. Depending on its purpose, an article will most likely fit into one of 4 types: expository, persuasive, narrative, or descriptive, right? Or descriptive. The types of articles you are willing to, the types of article you are writing will also dictate the style and tone. Here are how these 4 types of articles are commonly seen in business writing. So let me quickly, give you guys a quick explanation. Articles, like I said, I've said this a while ago, and I'm sure I'm going to say it again. But articles are the bread and butter. It's your bread and butter. You don't need. You go into, as a writer, you go into different forms and formats. You write for a wide range of topics, and you write for a wide range of people. And you write for a wide range of people. You go into script writing, you go to novel writing, but article writing is your bread and butter. Because even when you're handling a blog or you have your own blog channel, you will need to have articles on it, right? Blogs are just essentially where a lot of articles will go. Right? So, as I was saying, there's 4 different types of articles you write on a regular basis. I hope everybody's following along, right? Depending on its purpose, an article will most likely fit into 4 types: expository, persuasive, narrative, or descriptive. There are a few more, because articles will usually fit into different sections and formats, but these 4 are the major ones you need to know. Then after that, you can tie into all the different methods that are there. So, expository writing. Expository writing shares facts and information. Okay, so expository writing shares facts and information with the targeted audience. It includes everything from how-to articles to research articles published in scientific journals. Expository articles Expository articles follow a logical progression and guide the reader to a new understanding. Many of the articles published on the web today are expository because companies are positioning themselves as authorities in their field. They want to demonstrate their knowledge and expertise, offering value to the reader. Expertise is a key thing that you have to get used to as a writer. And remember what I said, if there's anything you come out with from any of my classes, that your second name as a writer is researcher, you have to do your research. What you have to bring out has to be factual. Don't bring anything out of thin air. I'll give you an example today. So in the program I'm attending, there's a training we're doing, and I was presenting and I brought facts that were essentially out of thin air. It wasn't like it was essentially out of thin air, but the facts didn't really have a lot of basis in them. They were just so I could move on to my next topic. I just needed something to link it. But it wasn't fully factual. It was factual, but how will I explain it? It was basically factual because if you take it at face value, sure, what you're saying is a fact, but there's no basis below it. So there's no substance to it. And at that moment, the moment it came out of my mouth and I started seeing people's hands go up, I said, oh no, I have completely shot myself in the foot. And everybody continued to pinpoint on that. So essentially, they forgot about all the good stuff I was talking about. And they just focused on that one mistake I made. And they drilled on it. Oh, this thing, tell us about it. Tell us more about it. How does this work? This your fact that you've brought here. We need you to expatiate on it. You know, we need you to expatiate on it. We need you to expatiate on it. You need to explain yourself. This fact here, it really, the whole presentation got out of hand. And it was in that moment I knew, okay, so even in a presentation where I'm just trying to link two things together so I can move on, there was not the fact. It was a baseless fact. It didn't really have any meaning, and what I was talking about to lead to a larger narrative crumbled at that point. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about facts. Something can be true, right? But because there's no real basis in it, and there's no real there's nothing so deep about it. There's nothing deep into what you're talking about. It can go wrong if people are concentrating. And like I said, they forgot about all the other good stuff and they just focused on that one fact that it was not inaccurate, but there wasn't any context around it. So just hearing it at face value will make you think, oh, this is so great, right? And before you knew what was going on, it was gone, right? So let me even tell you what the statement was. I said we were doing a market analysis and I was looking at it and I said the market size ranges with people from ages 20 to 45. And that makes up about 100 million people in Nigeria. And that's a fact. Now, but what I was talking about was for this specific product, there could be a market of about 100 million people. And we're talking about scaling, and a lot of people were like, oh my God, that's really good. But then one person pointed out that, how sure are you that those 100 million people that you've put within this age range, which is fine, that is a fact, but how sure are you those people are interested in that product? And before I knew it, everybody started really picking at it and bam, it was gone, right? So I presented a fact, but can you imagine? It was a fact, but there wasn't a lot of context and basis around it. And before I knew what was happening, I lost control of the presentation. So sometimes, even when you're presenting facts, take me as an example, even when you're presenting facts, make sure there is context and there is a strong base for what you're talking about. Don't just try and pull it out of thin air and slide it in. I hope nobody will notice. It might work for you sometimes. It has worked for me. You just slide in a fact that might not really, but the day you get caught, you lose all credibility. And like I said, my whole presentation went out the window. So when you are writing, this one is a presentation. I'm just talking within a group of people I'm with, just me and my own group, right? That's one can slide. Even to be honest, it can. People can miss it. If that one person they ask that question, a lot of people would have taken it as face value and moved on. But when you are writing, where you have the eyes of possibly millions of people, especially when you're writing for big companies, please research your topic well. If you're not sure about it, don't put it. Especially when you're writing expository articles. Look at what we said. Expository articles follow a logical progression and guide the reader to a new understanding. Many of the articles published on the web today are expository articles because companies are positioning themselves as authorities. If you are going to say you are an authority in something, please don't go on. Don't miss the facts. You can dodge once or twice, but if it becomes a habit, people will lose trust in you, and then there's no point in reading something you don't trust, right? All right, let's continue. Persuasive writing. Persuasive writing evokes more emotion than expository writing. It is the article writing format for a sales page. This is copy now. Anytime you want your reader to feel motivated to take a specific action, in persuasive writing, you connect with the reader's current experience or the problems they are trying to solve. Then you lead them to understanding how they can resolve those problems or benefit by taking your recommended action. How do we make good research? You go on Google and you don't just take the first thing you're told. If somebody tells you, look at it, this is a very good example. If somebody tells you, oh, they are selling a cup of rice for 2,000 naira, you won't just immediately believe what that person is saying. You will go to the market, right? And in this place, when we're talking about facts and information, you go to Google. You ask Google, oh, Google, how many people, how much is a cup of rice, right? Google will tell you. And then now let's keep the market analogy going. You go to the market, you ask the first person selling, how much is a cup of rice? If that person tells you 2,000, you go to the next person, how much is a cup of rice? If that person tells you 1,900, you go to the next person, oh, it tells you 1,800, it tells you 2,000. Then you can now gauge it and say, okay, on average, maybe a cup of rice is actually 1,800. That person wasn't lying, but it was just how much they sold it to them for. That is how you research. Research requires that you take the first piece of information you get and you drill down on it. If somebody asks you, if somebody tells you, oh, I need you to write about I need you to write about I need you to write about if the viability of no, let's not use that example. I need you to write I don't want to be so technical, but let's be technical a little bit. After all, we're all writers here. I need you to write a feasibility report about a certain product and how it can work in the market, right? So you do market research, and when you're doing market research, you need to get your facts right? And you need to know how many percentage of people want this product, how many percentage of people don't want this product, and then you write your report and you say, okay, this product, let's say a shoe, this shoe, a lot of people now don't follow these trends anymore, so this type of shoe is no longer trending. While there may be a market for vintage styles will not keep this business sustainable, right? So you need to now, okay, then they'll now ask the question, so how do you know that this is what is trending and this is not what is trending? Then you'll now go into your research and you say, okay, so I checked out big outlet malls, or I checked out big outlets where they sell shoes, stores, and I was like, do you people sell these shoes? And they're like, oh no, we don't sell these shoes. Or you went online and you checked out big publications, talked about trending shoes. Google is your friend when you're researching, but also the same with ChatGPT, where we say, ChatGPT lies a little bit every once in a while. Google lies, but when Google lies, it's not that Google was presenting you with a lie. It is because somebody else, right, did not do their research properly. And I always use the example of a price of something, right? If somebody else needs to check for something, if somebody else needs the price of something and you just take their face value for it and you just accept that that's what the price is, you miss it. But identity doctor is right. Let's save our questions for the comment section. When the question and answer section comes, it's kind of distracting, and we've already talked about something else, right? So persuasive writing evokes an emotion. This is copywriting. Now you need to evoke an emotion from the person that is reading it. Do you want them to be angry? I remember talking about this, right? And I said I said the best way to understand copywriting, right? The best way to understand it is to think of it like when you're talking about politics, because the easiest way to elicit emotion from a wide range of people is to just be political. Is the quickest way. So in that essence now, when you understand how to evoke emotions from people when talking about politics, without blatantly lying or outrightly insulting somebody, you know, you can then you know how to, get people to do things. So whenever you're thinking about how to persuade people, think of politics as your first option. How would I spin this thing to get people angry, motivated, or happy? Now, let's keep going, and we'll still explain a bit more, and we'll see more of what is going on. Let's talk about the next one: narrative writing. Narrative writing is essential to storytelling. It can be a form of persuasive writing, but a good narrative article has a strong introduction followed by rising action, a climax, and a resolution. So, especially when you're talking about news, for those of us that will work at big companies like Bloomberg or Business Insider, I recently, I think like 2 months ago, made a connection with a writer who works for Business Insider. And I asked him, "Oh, how did you get a job here?" And he said, he was like, he stumbled onto it. He saw the opportunity. I think he's been writing for his own personal blog, and then someone messaged him, "Oh, we love how you write on your personal blog. Your consistency is amazing. Your writing skills are amazing. Why don't you apply for this?" And he applied. He went through the interview process, and they loved it, right? So when you're writing about news, and one thing he told me, I was asking him for some advice as a writer, he told me, when you're writing about news, the narrative is the most important thing. And even when I write about football, there's a lot of it. I like tactics, and I like how everything, looks when people are playing on the pitch, but I am a narrative first. I love the stories that spin off from a match, whether it is one person that won over the other person, or this person hasn't beaten this person in like 2 weeks. For anybody that watched the Arsenal versus Man City game last weekend, there was a lot of narratives that came out of it. There was. So let me give you an example of one narrative that you could easily spin up. The game essentially ended and divulged into Arsenal just defending for their lives, while Man City kept attacking and attacking and attacking. But it took Man City till the last 30 seconds of the game to equalize. Now, I'm building like the basics. This is the introduction I'm explaining for you guys now, even though it's not quite, but I'm just trying to get you to where I want you to see, right? So it took them to the last 30 seconds of the game, and they drew. After they drew, all the players began to fight, and they didn't come to blows, but it was a very intense game. Everybody, tensions were flaring up. What is the first narrative that came out of it? Arsenal have been able to rattle Manchester City. Arsenal, that were always the underdogs, have now been able to get up to Manchester City's level, and it has scared Manchester City. They're like, okay, these guys are no longer the small boys we used to push around. So a narrative is very important. What you're able to pull out from a scenario or a situation, Haaland hitting somebody with the ball, oh, that's just poor gamesmanship from Haaland. But I remember somebody also saying like, Haaland wouldn't do that in front of the player. Huh. Oh, thank God. Anyway, yeah, right. And Haaland wouldn't do that if Gabriel was looking at him face to face, because he knew to get into a physical battle. That kind of thing. That's how you spin up a narrative. You take a scenario, you look at it, you break it down, and then you start bringing out storylines from that. Do you get me? Bring up a storyline. That's the easiest way to do it. Bring up a storyline from whatever narrative you're talking about. You can say, okay, something that recently just happened. The Naira has devaluated again, once again, even though the CBN took preventative measures and instructive measures to try and, stop the Naira from falling. What's the quickest narrative to draw out from there? Usually, when you're talking about deriving a narrative, it can also help you, derive your title. So let me give you a good example. Now we're talking about CBN and how they almost, they try to intervene to stop the naira from devaluating again, but it's still devalued. Then you can easily come, depending on how the kind of emotions you want to evoke from people. You say CBN's ineptitude and inability to save the naira from its devaluation today makes it clear that those in charge of CBN are not good at their jobs. Bam. You can derive your title from there, but this is your narrative. Then you dig deep into it. You now say, okay, why were CBN not able to keep the naira from devaluating again to hitting 1,000 and something, 1,700 and something? You do that, you explain, and you'll be like, oh, okay, this is why. You check, okay, the policies they put in place were not good enough. They didn't come in time. So let me slow down. I think I'm rushing. Does everybody actually quite understand what I'm talking about? Because it does kind of feel like I was speeding through. So let me slow down a little bit. As I was saying, CBN were unable to, stop the naira from devaluating. We've now gotten our narrative title. We said CBN's ineptitude to CBN have been inept or inability to stop the naira shows a growing trend of bad leadership. Now, you now need to dig into it. You dig into it and say, okay, why did they fail? That's when you're now going to check the policy. The policies they put in place were not good. Now, once you've said the policies they put in place were not good, you now have to back that up, right? You're building a narrative. In as much as you're building a narrative, you must still be able to back it up. Then you now check the policy. Oh, the policy they put in, blah, blah, blah. This is from an economic standpoint. But an easy way to easily get it is so that you don't, get fact-checked or something. You can just say, oh, the policies, when they didn't put it in time. So they came late to the party. Bam, that's why the naira devaluated today. It's a simple way to put it. The news, especially when you're writing about the news, you need to spin a narrative because you can't just give straight facts. You weave the facts into the story to make it interesting for people. Because let me just be very factual with a lot of us here. Not a lot of people really care about the news because half of the time we can see it on social media. So your ability to weave a narrative, to tell the people a story that they will like is where you can, get more views, more clicks. We'll talk about clickbait one of these days. But clickbait is a very good way of, designing a narrative. Even though I don't like it, but sometimes you have to essentially put up. But that's when we're talking about titles. We'll get into that, right? Okay, so let's continue. The purpose of narrative writing can be to inform, persuade, or connect. You want to take the reader on a journey and lead them to a new understanding through the example of another's experience. Taking your readers on a journey. The only way you can take them on a journey is by telling them a very good story, right? Narrative writing is a useful way for businesses to engage with customers, share their stories, or build a sense of community. Let me give you guys another very good example of switching of a good narrative winning you the day. For those of us that follow international politics, let's track why did Joe Biden win against Donald Trump way back in 2020. Sure, COVID-19 had a very good hand in it, but Joe Biden was also able to weave a better story than Donald Trump. He made Donald Trump look very stupid. And it's like, is this really the leader you people want? And before you knew it, everybody changed because the narrative is like, nah, this guy is inept. This guy cannot do it. This guy was not able to. They rigged the election is a good narrative as well. We'll look at that. But the narrative, this guy could not save you people from COVID-19. How would you trust him in a crisis if you can't trust him in a crisis? How? And then Donald Trump, also a very good storyteller. Even though everybody can tell you the honest truth that the election was not rigged, he still managed to tell people a very good story. If you do a deep dive into all of Trump saying that the election was rigged, they stole the election, 90% of it was a lie. But because because they told a really good story. People marched to their Capitol building when they wanted to certify the election and tried to attack the people. Storytelling is still a very powerful thing, and half of the time, it's not everybody that's going to read your novel, it's not everybody that's going to read that your big, deep dive. But if you write a really good article, if you write 5 really good articles that just make people believe the unbelievable, oh my God, you can rule the world. The truth is narratives that rule the world. So when you're writing, take this into account and tell yourself, when I'm writing, let me focus on the narrative. In whatever thing you're writing, actually, take the narrative seriously. Whether you're doing persuasive, expository, there can still be a narrative because it makes the story that you're writing more interesting, right? Let's continue. We have a long way to go, and I'm still a bit behind. If you are writing an article that describes a product, its features, and its benefits, you may employ descriptive writing. So, for those of us that are going to be in the tech space, if you're writing about different products, if you're writing about a review of a product, this is it for you. Sometimes you may not need a narrative where you're describing something, but there's even still space for a narrative. How do you want somebody to buy a product that is good when there are hundreds of the same products that are doing similar things? You need a narrative. You need a narrative that creates a unique selling point for that device. Let's remove iPhones and Samsung Galaxy phones out of the equation. If you're supposed to write about all the other phones after them, a lot of them do a lot of the same things. But it's the narrative that you are able to create to give them a unique selling point, even though there was no unique selling, like there's no real big difference between Techno, Infinix, and Itel. But it's the narrative around them. Somebody will tell you this one has a 48 megapixel camera, this one has a 32 megapixel camera. If you carry all three of them, half of the time you can't really tell the difference between any of the pictures that they take. This one has a 6,000 milliamp hour battery. This one has 5,000. Carry both of them, use them together. Is very rare. One will last maybe 2 hours more than the other. Those three phones that I just called, they're all made by the same manufacturer in the same country. But are they made by the same manufacturer? I don't think so, but they're all made in the same country. And they are made in the same, they are developed in the same building, actually. Like the whole research and development for those three types of phones, it's all in the same building. They swap parts, so when you're now telling yourself, guy, what is the real difference between these three phones? It's the narrative that they sell you on, oh, this phone brings you to, to be honest, let's leave Intel, Infinix, and Techno for narratives. But that's what we're talking about. Is the narrative that they sell you on that will make you pick one over the other, and how good that narrative was for one phone to go over the other. Do you get? So descriptive writing is used when you want to set the scene for your readers by giving them all the sensory information you can. You want to describe the atmosphere, the environment, what is happening in that piece of writing. I've kind of given you guys a good example of a description. I've told you that while they're not all made by the same manufacturer, they are all in the same building, they swap parts, their research and development is carried out in the same place. Essentially, I've told you it is all under the same roof. So they are most likely being produced by the same person. But I use my mouth to tell you they are most likely not produced by the same person, even though somebody has not told us in the chat that they are produced by the same person. But I've been able to describe to you a situation that will still make you believe, well, if they're all in the same building, the interchange parts, that's the thing. You get what I'm saying? I hope everybody's following because we still have more to discuss, right? Let's continue. So, the article writing format. Now, to grab a reader's attention, articles must be eye-catching. That is why you want to format it correctly with a heading, body, and conclusion. Your article writing format is the framework you use to present information in an easy way to consume. Now, for those of you that were here for yesterday's class, I showed you my blog on WordPress. And one thing you will be able to derive from it was that there were a good number of headers sectioning off the different topics I was talking about. And that's the way you do it. You have your title, your introduction, And after that, you now section off your writing. You can't put everything all under the title because everything has different sections. If you are going to describe a product now, you're doing a review of a product, right? Let's take a techno phone now. There will be a heading for the battery, there will be a heading for the camera, there will be a heading for the display, there will be a heading for what else? Charging, there will be a heading for memory, storage, RAM, all of those things, because you're talking about different sections. So when you're building out an article, even if you're not talking about a product, build it out into different sections. Once you've figured that you've talked about this thing enough, break it apart and say, okay, what else can I talk about next? Now, your article writing format is the framework. Your article writing format is the framework you use to present information in an easy to consume way. It is essential to have a clear purpose for each article. You want to build the reader's expectation with your heading and deliver on that expectation in the body of the article. Let me repeat that one. It is essential to have a clear purpose for each article. Why are we writing this thing? Then you want to build the reader's expectation with your heading and then deliver on that expectation in the body of the article. If I'm telling you now that if I'm telling you about the war, if I'm telling you about the war happening in Lebanon, and I'm telling you about bombing Lebanon, right? If I'm going to break that story apart, I'm going to take it into different sections. I'm going to do my intro. I'll give you the title, maybe Israel's brutal bombing of Lebanon. Then I will now give my intro and explain just the brief to explain, okay, this is what is happening in Lebanon right now. This is why it is happening. Then I will now take you back. How did we get here? Blah, 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 blah. They blew up pages. Why did they blow up the pages? Blah, 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 blah. I've done, how did we get here? Then I'll now explain what was the situation that instigated Israel to go into it. We've explained how did we get here. We've shown the through line. Then we can now explain where do we go from here. You can now explain, is there a path for a ceasefire? You can now, everything. Once you're talking about a new section on a topic, even if it's just about the same thing, break it into headings. Then you can do subheadings, right? We're talking about, let's talk about the iPhone 16, right? We've talked about the battery on it. The battery on the iPhone 16 is like maybe 5,000 milliamp hours. Under it, we can now talk about how long it lasts under different testing scenarios. We tested it with 100% brightness for the whole day. It lasted 12 hours. We tested it while watching movies for the whole day at 100% brightness. Those things that we are talking about, the testing under the battery. Talking about the battery, that's the main heading. That's your heading 2. But underneath it, the testing period we gave to get the percentage and how long it will last, that can be your heading 3. So break your articles apart with headings. It allows your reader to know, okay, I'm not just continuously reading one long paragraph till the end, right? That's good. Let's continue. How should an article be written? Now that you know the types and formats of an article, the format of an article, you want to understand the process of how to write one. So here are the steps to follow when writing an article. Choose your topic. An ideal topic is focused enough to address in a single article. Think about your target audience. What questions are they asking about this topic? I just gave you guys a good topic. Israel is bombing Lebanon. Think about your audience you're writing for. Are you writing for people that are backing Israel, or are you writing for people that are backing Lebanon? If you're writing for people that are backing Israel, then you say the bombing is a good thing. If you're writing for a neutral party, both sides are maybe indifferent about it, you give the good reasons why Israel is doing what they're doing, and you also tell your reader why it is wrong, why Israel are doing, or why Israel is extreme, and you also explain why Lebanon, what has caused Israel to do this to Lebanon, and then you also explain why Lebanon were in the wrong, or you also explain why Israel should express some level of restraint with Lebanon. But if you are writing for people that are on the side of Lebanon, Israel is in the wrong, everything Israel is doing is wrong. So you have to take your audience into account. Who is reading? Who is reading this? I think it might be your network, Ifeoluwa. Can everybody else hear me? Am I clear? Because I don't want to be talking and talking and talking, and then everybody hasn't been able to hear me. Right? Quickly. I need to know if everybody can hear me. Time is still going. All right, let's continue. Now, I've told you about thinking about your audience. What are the most important answers you can deliver to them? You want to speak directly to your reader. So having your target audience clearly in mind is a critical step. If I'm writing for Arsenal now, and I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm going to take on my Arsenal fan cap and write that all the things the referees have done is against us, everybody is against us. If I'm writing neutral, I'll say the referee could have been a bit more lenient, or the referee was right, that kind of thing. Now, gather your facts and data. Do they support the points you plan to include in the article? The funny thing about data is that you can manipulate your data to also feed into the narrative you want to perpetrate. Israel have been bombing Lebanon. Oh, they bombed them from morning to night. If you are supporting Israel, you can easily say them bombing them from morning to night is a good reason to do it, because Lebanon have been aggressive towards Israel. If you are against Israel, that same fact that they've been bombing them from morning to night, you say that's a terrible thing. There's no mercy. They've not shown any restraint. They want to wipe them out. Simple. You've used the same bit of data, even though it wasn't really a heavy data thing and it wasn't quite factual. But you get what I'm saying. You can manipulate the same bit of data to work both sides. Right? Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Let's continue. So, write an outline, including the headers. Does it flow? Can you cover this topic adequately in the space of an article? Write your rough draft. Edit. Some writers read their drafts aloud to check for flow and avoid common grammar mistakes. You can use tools like the Hemingway app. I'm giving you people advice now. These are tips. Download the Hemingway app or Grammarly. I've told you guys about Grammarly a lot to help with this process. Now, grow your article writing with a focused niche. As you add to your portfolio of work, you can prospect for new jobs and clients. Here's where the advantage of a niche comes into focus. It is easier to win a job when you have relevant samples to show them. Writing new samples for every publication or bid gets old fast. On some of the popular freelance websites like Upwork or Guru, employers get dozens of bids in a minute on their article writing projects. As a freelancer, the better you match an employer's target criteria, the easier you stand out from the crowd. So, me that is a good football fanatic, right? I have a section in my portfolio just dedicated to writing about football. And when I'm applying for somebody that likes football, I will use that section of my portfolio for that person. But if I'm also applying for a tech job, I will also provide all the tech articles I've written, because that is where I'm not going to now show somebody that I'm writing about tech and now showing my football articles. It doesn't match. Even if the person can appreciate how good I am, he needs to see me write tech, except it's like an open one where they just want somebody that they can train. Then fine. Just showing them that you've done a bit of writing is a good example. That's how I got my feet through the door. I didn't really know what tech writing was about, but I had, a few articles that were written about football, and I showed an acumen for writing. So the person took me on. But that was when I was starting. Now, at my age, big man, old man like me, I can't come and be doing that kind of thing. especially with the pay. When somebody is telling you, oh, we'll pay you XY amount of money, and then you now gonna bring the wrong thing for them, they'll be like, you're not serious. You need to. I like that statement. You can't fish for a whale in a river. What's it? What does that? You can't fish for a whale in a. You won't find a whale in a river anyway. Maybe you refine that statement there, but I kind of get what you're talking about. Let's continue. You may be skilled enough to research and write on any subject. However, the less you know about a topic, the longer it takes to complete a project. As you develop expertise in a niche, you cut down your writing time and deliver equal or better quality work. When you freelance for a living, less time per project means more money per hour. Of course, you can have multiple niches. You don't have to limit yourself to just one. And you can add more later. Let's continue. How do I know it's a good niche? If you enjoy the topic, your writing will flow better and feel less like work. You'll also be more apt to have insights that engage and hook your audience. It's a good niche if you enjoy the subject. One exception to follow to the follow one exception to the following the one exception to the follow your heart rule here. If you love fashion but you are colorblind, perhaps pick another interest for your first focus. If you think you want to write tech articles but your natural voice is flowery, romantic, and girly, you struggle to fit into tech but shine in marketing or makeup or fashion, it's better to plan to your natural strengths. The best niche is an in-demand topic you enjoy that aligns with your strengths, right? Me, my strengths are analysis, analytical thinking, and then sometimes the odd, crazy, strange thing, because I'm sometimes a very odd and strange and crazy person, right? Let's continue. Resources for article writing. Improve and refine your blog writing with free online tools. Many grammar checkers offer a free version of their editor. They catch tone and agreement issues missed by a word. The Hemingway editor aids with reliability by identifying complex and hard to read sentences. It tells you the grade level of your writing, highlights passive voice, and offers simpler word alternatives to increase the appeal of your headlines. The Advanced Marketing Institute created a free headline analyzer. If you find yourself keep repeating words, Word Hippo is an online thesaurus to keep you. Word Thesaurus is an online. What's going on? Word Hippo is an online thesaurus that helps keep the word variety interesting, right? So you need this pen ultimate. You always shock me with things that you say you love, because it means that you're going deep. Maybe next year you'll be the one taking over after me. Funny, but the fact that you know Word Hippo is a good one. It means that you delve into a lot of things, right? So whether by hook or by crook, we've gotten to our halfway point. Now we're going to talk about how SEO works. But because we're close to our break time, we'll go on a break at 7:55, and then we'll come back and cover how SEO works. But within this moment, let's do a quick recap. We'll take a quick recap of everything we've learned, and then we'll move on. So I think it's best we always start. I think it's best we always start at the beginning. So we've talked about article writing, and we've talked about the 4 types of article writing. We've talked about the narrative, the persuasive, and the expository, the narrative, persuasive, expository, and descriptive. So, as I explained, expository writing shares facts and information with the target audience. It includes everything from how-to articles, and how-to articles are a very good way to, get ranked on Google, especially when you take a niche that nobody is really talking about. So I know, like 5 years ago, how-to articles are about makeup, how to apply eyeliner, how to apply eyeshadow. That was a very good niche to write in, but now it has become a little bit saturated. But let me give you one, right? So while in writing about it's not by Ella, it's not by force to, I know you're one of the most serious, students in the class. But if you're not feeling well, it might be just good to, take a quick break and, rest. Yeah. The videos are always here to watch after the class, right? So, as I was saying, expository writing is about facts, research. You must be factual. While persuasive articles, you're trying to get people motivated. You're trying to elicit a strong emotion from them. And like I said, with persuasive writing, the best way to try and build your persuasion skills is to start writing about politics. But don't outright insult anybody and don't lie. Just come up with it in a way that will get people riled up without you lying about them. If you're able to elicit emotions from people, right, about certain political topics, you will, you immediately be able to you immediately start getting a good idea, and it's a good way to practice, right? When you're able to generate a quick 5 minutes, a quick 10 lines to get people to realize, oh, what is going on? Oh, how is this? Oh, if you're able to getting people emotional about something in just 5 sentences, then you've started to get it right. Okay, so like I explained, I did a lot of buttressing on narrative writing. Narrative is storytelling. It is the best way to get people, interested. Take your readers on a journey. Narrative writing is a useful way for businesses to engage with customers, share stories, or build a sense of community. A very good way to build a narrative for your listeners is telling customer journeys, right? Telling your audience about customers' journeys with the product. Oh, this product helped heal my family, or I was a starting content creator, but this camera lights, this ring lights really changed the way I created content and took my content creation to like 1,000% better. That's a good way to talk about a product and get people interested because of a success story. I remember pitching to a company that the way they needed to tell people about them, because they were selling like trainings, they were a training hub, and I was like, tell people about your success stories, tell people about the people, your students that have gone to work in Google, your students that have gone to work in Amazon. You're teaching people tech. Use those success stories and see how more and more people will come and enter your trainings. Descriptive writing. If you're writing an article that describes a product, its features, its benefits, you may employ descriptive writing. Descriptive writing sets the scene and delivers concrete sensory information about a place or thing, right? It gets people interested. We've already hit our 5 minute mark. So once I finish descriptive writing, we'll go on a break. Like I said, it is used to set the scene, and it gives you a great way to get an idea of a place or a story. Having an idea of a thing is very important, right? So we've done a quick recap, at least, of the types of writing. We've gone through the formats of writing, the framework, using your headers, sectioning, picking a topic, working on an outline, editing, using Grammarly and Hemingway. And we've also talked about, focusing on a niche. So how we've talked about, when we come back from the break, we're now going to go into our deep dive on SEO and learn how SEO works. So let's go on a break right now, and then we'll come back very soon. We'll come back in about like maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes. At least let's come back maybe 8:02 or something, right? And we are back. Guess what? Have we started? Can everybody hear me? Are we ready? I hope everybody has attendance. Testing 1 2 3. I hope everybody has attendance. If you haven't taken your attendance, remember that we will take attendance at the end of our class. How's everybody doing today? Hope we're ready to get back into the learning process. Yeah. All right. Like I said, we have gone through article writing. The reason why article writing was just the first half of this, because I just wanted to make sure that we all understand that articles are only just a section of the writing that goes on with your blogs. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Article writing, articles, they are just part of a blog. Articles are part of your blogs, and it is from your, blogs host a whole bunch of articles that you write and you put them on blogs. But now we're talking about how people will read those articles you publish on your websites, on your blogs. How people can organically read them. Now, we're talking about how SEO works. And in talking about how SEO works, let's just go through this quick guide. You publish a website or article. Search engine spiders crawl your website and understand what the page is about. Your site is indexed under relevant categories on the web. And next time, when the user searches and it matches your topic, the topic of your content, your website will rank on, well, not usually, no, rank number 1 on search engine reach. What is the SERPs again? SERPs. I forgot what SERPs mean again. Search engine repository. Can you even imagine that? Don't worry, we'll talk about it. At how SEO works. What is blog SEO and why is it important? Blog SEO, or search engine optimization for blogs, is the practice of optimizing a blog's content and structure to improve its visibility and ranking on search engine result pages. Yes, search engine result pages, SERPs. Now, the goal of blog SEO is to make your blog more attractive to search engines, plus the people who use them. Remember, I told you serve two masters. You serve Google and you serve the people that read your articles. But usually it's the one master. And I remember I told you guys in the middle of my last class, that SEO is the son. And you cannot meet the father if you don't go through the son. And who do we say is the father? We said Google is the father. Right? Okay. Let's continue. Search engines look at a variety of signals to understand the value of your blog posts. They seek out the most relevant, informative, and or in-depth content on a given topic, whether that content lives on your blog or any other website. That's what crawling is. Going through your web, going through your content, and then finding ways to place it in the ranking. Now, by optimizing your blogs, you can gain site authority, increase visibility, boost site traffic, generate more leads. Now, here are some of the best SEO tips you can't get anywhere else. First, find the right topics. Unfortunate news, many avid writers with established blog sites have already covered the topics about your industry. So how can you make sure your blog posts stand out on the search engines? Research and intent. I also recommend getting familiar with semantic SEO. And before you ask, semantic SEO is the idea of creating content for a topic instead of a keyword. It means you should consider the search intent and provide the user with all the information he's looking for by creating quality and in-depth content. This is your bread and butter. Remember, I told you guys, as a writer, your bread and butter is about articles. Now, there's no way you're going to butter your bread if people don't read your articles. And how do you read your article? How will people get to read your articles? There's a lot of ways, but the most foolproof way is still SEO, because a lot of people will still Google, right? A lot of people still Google a lot of things. We still go to Google to search a lot of things. ChatGPT takes a lot of the complex things we are looking for, but the simple and basic things, the fun things we want to know, we still Google it. I still find myself going to Google to check a lot of things, right? So let's continue. Identify the target audience of your blog. Now, this is the next topic. After finding the right topics or phrasing the right topics, because there's a way, let me give you guys a good explanation here on this topic thing before we move to the next one. Finding the right topic sometimes may not necessarily mean looking in content in a different direction or taking content in a whole other direction. You can rephrase topics as well. You can look at a topic. Why is Israel attacking Lebanon? Is quite the same, right? That's the topic. You can rephrase that topic and say, why is Israel attacking Hezbollah? Israel is in it. You've removed Lebanon, but you've included an element that people will want to research. Then from there, you can break it down the way I told you how to break down your topics and how to write and how to break everything in headers. Sometimes you don't need to change the whole narrative or change the whole topic, or sometimes spend a lot of time looking for the right topic. You can find a topic that already works, but is already being covered, and phrase it differently, because people are still going to want to search that topic in a different way. Once someone has covered the most common way to do it, you now need to start thinking of uncommon ways or other ways people will search for things. Remember, we don't all think the same. So, identify the target audience for your blog. When starting a blog, focus your blog on just a few topics. Create posts that address the target audience needs, pain points, and questions. This tailored experience will improve how the search engine views your site as an authority on these topics, and simultaneously offer value to your readers. For example, Wix has separate blogs in fitness, e-commerce, restaurants, and more. So it's important to identify your target audience for your blog, because when you start writing specifically for them, Google will say, this person, he knows what he's talking about. Let's keep his readers going towards him. It looks like he's an authority on it. I like how you guys have already started posting your own thoughts and examples. Now, I want to point something out here. In the class I attended yesterday, we talked about the humility of a designer. And what that means essentially in the humility of a designer, it's a product design term. It means that when you're designing, you need to take yourself out of the equation. It applies, the humility of a writer is a very good term to coin. When you're writing, take yourself out of it. Remove your own bias, because it's not for you you're writing. You're writing for your audience. So when you're writing for your audience, you need to take your audience into account. Your feelings, if you and the audience have the same feelings, then fine, you can use your own feelings as a surrogate for the audience. But if your audience doesn't feel the same way as you, then don't write for yourself. That's a journal. When you want to write for yourself, put it in a journal and close it. But when you're writing for people, you need to be able to say, okay, what is my audience talking about? What are their pain points? What are their needs? And what are the questions around what we're talking about that they would ask, not how you would ask, right? Keep that in mind. The humility of a writer. You need to tell yourself, how am I going to achieve this thing with humility? How am I going to look at this? Remember, we talked about, third person writing, where you have to take yourself out of the situation and put yourself in the shoes of somebody that was just viewing the scenario from a different standpoint. Do you get what I'm saying? You know, let's continue. Now, do your own research. Do your own thorough keyword research. AI is also helpful in this field. Your first research goal is to target niche keywords in your expertise to find the best topics to write about. Just a reminder, keywords are short phrases that a person enters into the search engine. This is now a way to capture everything that sometimes may not be searched or you might not write about immediately. So keywords, keyword Israel, keyword Lebanon, keyword Hezbollah. Those three. If you just search Israel, Lebanon, and Hezbollah, don't even put anything else in the middle of those three words. You see what will come out. Now, your power as a writer is to not just search. People will never just search three words like that. They will ask a question. They will make a statement, right? Anybody that can't hear me, I guess it's your network. Now, by describing these keywords into your content, by putting these keywords into your content, you increase the chances of appearing in the results for that specific query. Ideally, you choose the most popular terms to get more eyes on your post. However, these broad popular terms are extremely competitive and usually show a range of results. Does everybody get what I'm saying? While these popular terms are good, they are extremely competitive. That is why you need to fine-tune your words, because sometimes you may not get the ranking you're looking for when you're ranking your content. You might not essentially get the right words you're looking for when you're trying to rank your content, right? So your safe choice is to formulate your article in the best way possible. Formulate your topics, your titles in a way that still doesn't just tread on the most popular topics, because like I said, there are a lot of big outlets. Let's use Israel, Lebanon, and Hezbollah for example. Now there are a lot of big outlets now that are already covering it. If you are going to cover it and you're just going to go the same way they are going to go, you have missed it, because they already have the backing of the world, right? You're not going to beat CNN, no matter how good your article is, no matter how well you've done all this SEO work. You're not going to beat CNN to news. So you have to find a different way to get it, except the news happen right in front of you and you post about it in the first 10 to 15 minutes, and you beat everybody to it. But those things happen very seldomly, very randomly. Now, for example, think if someone typed in cake on the search engine. Their intent is not clear, and the results will reflect this ambiguity. In this case, you'd compete with strong pages like Wikipedia, well-established recipe blogs, and the 2014 movie Cake. For those of you that don't know, you can go and check that out on online and see which movie happened in 2014. Hello, I'm having a class right now. I'll call you back. Now, when it comes to keyword section, more is always better, and these tend to be more precise and much less competitive. E.g., gluten-free orange pound cake recipe. These long-tail keywords allow you to target a specific intent that directly answers your audience query. Gluten-free orange pound cake recipe. Now, this is a very niche topic. Most of the time, people won't always search this, but the people that do search around this thing, so sometimes it might not be orange pound cake they will search for. They'll just search for a gluten-free cake recipe. Now, you've added gluten-free, you've also added orange pound cake, and you put the recipe. It makes it, we're not talking about that right now. It makes it, It makes it rank. I don't know what is going on. He said 2 people. I don't know what is going on. I'm not saying anything now. I'm not even going to answer you. Whatever is going on in the chat line now, the comment section now. I don't know what's going on. Let's follow up with class. Let's follow with class. You should focus. Let's follow with class. When it comes to keyword section, more is always better. And that's why we tend to, put long form search, because people don't just search 1 or 2 words. Sometimes people will put a whole statement, right? These long tail keywords allow you to target a specific intent that directly answers your question, your audience's query. Right? All right, let's continue. Now, find the specific intent keywords that have a solid amount of search volume. Over that volume, ranking becomes more competitive. To find the right, please, let's focus. To find the right keywords, list all the broad topics, also known as seed topics, you'd like to write about. Then break them down into more specialized subjects. For a food blogger, the seed topics could be cakes, soups, salads. The more specialized topics could be, for example, winter mushroom soup, carrot and ginger soup, carrot cake recipes, 10 of the best carrot cake recipes, 10 of the best salad recipes for people trying to lose weight. Bam, I've given you the most long tail, but that one is very common. Do we get, right? Try to lose weight, all of those things, especially when you're talking about food. Most of the time, people are looking for ways to cheat their diet. So they will say, best dish that I can eat to not break my diet, but to still be sweet, blah, 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 blah. Are we getting? Yeah, sure. You're just focusing on everything. Focus on the class. Use these helpful and free SEO tools. Now, there are tools that we'll get into. I don't think it's in this class, but there are tools that we'll use. Now, use helpful and free tools to find great keywords for articles, topics, and discover their search volume. Let's talk about some of my favorite tools for finding blog topics. These include Search. These are often used for keyword research and online ranking data, including metrics such as search volume and cost per click. Ahrefs, the way their names are very funny. Ahrefs is a tool that gives you plenty of suggestions when you pop in a keyword research area. Now, for those of you guys that are not focusing, that's really your business. I'm giving you the tools now. These are the tools that you use when you're doing SEO. There's a more specialized tool that I use. I've not put it here because I want to break that one down for you guys. But these are the general ones that you use, and that one is a paid tool. Some of these tools are also paid. Some of them have a bit of freemium models to them. So Ahrefs is a tool that gives you plenty of suggestions when you pop in a keyword into the research area. Now, after publishing the post, use Ahrefs to track your blog performance in the search rankings over the week. Blogging is a detailed task, is a detailed work. You don't just do it one hand. It's not one hand they used to do this thing. You can't just post and pray to God and say, oh yeah, go with God and go into the world, right? Then we have things like Answer the Public. This is a tool that gives you a huge list of questions and related phrases around your topic of choice. Keywords everywhere. I've given you these things. I'll be honest with you people. These tools were not given to me when I started. So it's good that you guys pick up these tools and use them, right? Use them for your own blogs first. Keywords everywhere. A Chrome extension that shows the search volume for various keywords. Great to use in combination with the other ones previously listed. Let me give you guys one thing that even me, I still use up till now. I use a bunch of free tools in conjunction with each other. It can be confusing when you're starting, but using a whole bunch of free tools can make it look like you are using one big paid tool. But while in Nigeria, we know how our economy is, right? Using a bunch of free tools in conjunction, it can be confusing. But when you get the hang of it, you can use like 5 or 6 free tools at once, just so that they can match up and cover for where one doesn't cover for the other, and you will, cover the whole progress. You get your work done quickly, or at least efficiently. Now, look at the intent. A common mistake bloggers make when optimizing their content is writing content that does not address the intent in the eyes of Google. You may have found a keyword that you think perfectly aligns with your article. However, if the article does not address what Google believes the searcher looks for, then your article will likely not rank. Google is the Google might, let me not say Google is the devil, but it might be the devil. We don't use SEO to go and meet that one. Google can be very confusing when it wants to be. It can be very stressful when it wants to be. For example, if you address the keyword newsletter templates with a blog post, but the search results page focused on product pages, then your post will probably not appear on the first page. To avoid this, look at the live search engine. What is it again? Search engine something pages. I always, why does this shit skip my head? But look at the setup of your keywords and confirm the intent before writing. Look at the search engine results page. Search for that thing first. Look at what is coming out. Then identify how best to go about it. Newsletter templates is a good keyword to write about newsletter. But if they are now bringing out products, you might as well switch to writing about products than writing about the template itself. Conduct competitive research. The best way to source out your competition is just Google it. Your second research task is to figure out how to improve your content beyond what already ranks. The folks at Moz call this the 10x content, which means creating content that is 10 times better than what ranks on the first result page will get you ranking higher. First, search for your chosen keywords and look at the top 5 to 10 competitors to understand the kind of content people want when searching for them. If you are talking about a review for the iPhone 16 Pro Max, you will look at the top 5 written articles. You'll find out that they're written by the biggest blogs in town. And then you try and match up with them and then outdo them because they've already pasted their content. After about 10 days, the content starts to get refreshed by other people that have been able to catch up with them and do better and provide more information. So you will need to rank. That's why you see sometimes you notice when you're reading a blog, they'll tell you this blog has been updated to match or to meet up with so that it can. Do we understand? All right, let's go to the next one. Now, then think about the added value only you can provide in your piece. Maybe you tried out several recipes for a flawless chocolate cake and discovered a magic ingredient. Perhaps your images are just so much more appealing than the ones you saw in the top results. See, aside from the biggest and most popular things on the internet, you'll find out that some of the things you write about are not the most popular things on the internet. You write about things that are not very popular because they need to rank. When something isn't that popular, you can provide a lot of expertise and a lot of reading, a lot of writing quality. It will rank highly. And that's the way they test you. Whenever you start at a new company, that's the way they test you. They'll give you a lot of boring things, then they'll give you one very entertaining thing to write about. They are checking the boring ones first because they want to know how good you actually are, because anybody can write about something that is very interesting and people like. But your ability to write about something very obscure and is not very well known, and is not very well written about, will give you instant authority on it, especially once you rank highest on it, and you'll be able to flow. Now, or you make a video that includes all the steps for the recipe. All of these elements can take your content to the next level and help show your authority and expertise to Google. So you can write on your blog, right? You can blog about it, write about it in an article, then add a video onto it. And if the video matches with what you're writing, then you've done magic. So I know somebody that asked about vlogging and blogging. That still doesn't mean that you now put the whole video. Don't cannibalize what can work for you on YouTube. If you make a 10-minute video, please post that 10-minute video on YouTube and then cut 5 minutes out of it, then cut 2 minutes or a minute in each of those 5 minutes or 30 seconds each of those 5 minutes, and maybe put 2 or 3 on your blog. Let us continue. Now, SEO, search engine optimization, is the process of optimizing your blog so that it ranks blah, 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 blah. How did this appear here? Can you imagine? Your blog is blah, blah, blah. Let's continue. There's more to discuss. Now, choose SEO friendly blog formats. Now, I'm going to teach you people about things that already rank highly for Google. As mentioned above, to outrank the competition, you must write content that brings value. Search engines such as Google, Bing, or Yahoo will often prioritize comprehensive research-based content with original data. When brainstorming potential blog ideas, consider these blog formats that communicate helpful information. Everything I've shown you here is also a good way to make scripts for YouTube videos. I do a lot of listicles now. Top 10 this, top 5 this, 20 of these things that we have never listed, 15 of the most wondrous things you've never thought about. Those things, they rank very highly because they fit the format to a T. And there's just this strange thing that most of us enjoy about just going through a list of things. I don't know what it is. Till this day, I will never know. But just going through a list of stuff is fun. It provides ranking. You now start playing this game in your head. What will be number one, especially if you're very familiar with something. If they say 10 of the best cake recipes in the world, and everybody knows that red velvet is number one, so you now start following them, just waiting to see what they will actually put as number one, and then they will mess with you and put red velvet as number two and put chocolate as number one, just to get some emotion out of you. Like, oh my God, how did they put chocolate as number one? It's a very common tactic. That's one thing even me I've done. I'll just be like, well, I know this is the best, so I'll make the best the last and let everybody get outraged and then see what they want to say. Oh, then what did he now put as number one? It's a good way to elicit emotion immediately. Putting the thing that we generally know is the best. And then maybe not make it the best, maybe make it number 3, and then state why you think it's number 3 and why the other one is better. And then, you elicit emotion from people because they'll be like, why is this guy saying this thing? You don't really care. Tutorials. Makeup tutorials are still very popular on YouTube, and tutorial write-ups are very useful as well. It's not everybody that wants to sit down and watch a video sometimes. They might not have the patience, so they'll skim through an article. So this is the thing. People skim through articles. That's why we also put headings, because there's sometimes, and Google, if you notice, Google has already started doing this. They might even put like the immediate answer to the question you're looking for. If I say, how many light bulbs, how many screws does it take? How many light bulbs, how many men does it take to screw in a light bulb? That's a foolish question, right? But the answer might just appear so that, if you're able to answer the question immediately, you will rank very highly. And this is something you should all know as content writers. When you're writing for Google, especially when it's a question, answer the question in your introduction. In that introduction, if you're asking, how do you think red velvet is the best? That's for me and you to figure out. What was the English again? How do I fix a leaky faucet? In your introduction, after the title, because most of the time the title the title is the content that has been searched for. The internet is a weird place. Put your answer in introduction somewhere inside the introduction. Then re-answer the question. People, the nitty-gritty of SEO writing. This one they don't even tell you, but I'm telling you now. Re-answer the question. The title: how do I fix a leaky faucet? Do your introduction. Leaky faucets, blah blah blah. Leaky faucets can be the best. Can be the destroyer of your kitchen. They put water everywhere. But to solve a leaky faucet, you may need to call a repairman, or you may need to get your wrench out and then you finish your introduction. But in this article, I'm going to show you different ways to fix your leaky faucet. Then you re-answer the question again, and you say, to fix a leaky faucet, You need to do this, this, and that. Then you can start talking about all the other things you want to talk about. But in that instance, you have ranked very well in Google's eyes because you've answered the question first. Answer the question first. In-depth how-to guides, infographics, expert roundup posts, case studies, all of them. Beginners, like what is posts? There's so many. And then FAQs. What were FAQs again? Facts and answered questions, right? I know somebody put it up there. There's so many things in my head. I beg. Let's continue. Now we're getting to the question and answer section, but we still have a bit of a ways to go. So let's finish. Now, write evergreen content. Now, there's a secret to this thing. Choose keywords that people search for all year long, for years to come, as well as topics people will search for in the future. This one is the most important one. I won't lie. Frequently asked questions. You people are very smart. Frequently asked questions. I don't know why that shit always keeps my mind. Pardon my French. Choose keywords that people search for all year long. There's topics that people will search for randomly throughout the year. You can put that in as a content and then you can update it. So instead of making new content, you just add another heading to it and bam, it will retrend up in the rankings. Add another heading towards the middle of the year. It will flip up again. It might not reach the top because new content is taking up on the top, but it will re-rank again. So that's a good way to do it. Now, this is the one thing that most people will never tell you because it's only people that think in the short term that don't like this one. When you write about something that people are going to ask about in the future. So we all know the iPhone 16 came out like 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. There's already people that have written content and have posted it 1 week before, 2 weeks before the iPhone came out, right? They've already had hands-on experience with it. They've posted it. They won't post full reviews, but they've already started answering a bunch of questions on the internet about it. How big is the camera? How powerful is the battery? What's the display? What's the size of this? What is this? They've answered it. They've essentially reviewed it, but they've answered it in different questions. They've broken the review into different questions and they've answered it and they still managed to turn it into 1,000 words. Sometimes content writing can be like just grinding your mind sometimes, because why would I write a full review of something? Then I'll pieces it into different questions, answer those questions, and then still write a lot of other things that might not really feed into what I'm talking about, but just to we'll talk about that thing. Let's not. I'm now telling you guys about my pet peeves. That's maybe we'll do that one day. Let's continue. So, writing for topics that might be popular are a very good way. Let me give you another good example. For those of us that watch a lot of movies, Deadpool and Wolverine came out like 2 months ago. A month before the movie came out, people already started creating content around it, answering questions that people might leave the cinema with so that they can rank heavily. And when search starts to flow that way, because they've already been there waiting, Google will re-rank you. YouTube will re-rank you. So think about it. Who is Deadpool? Just a random question that most people will always ask those questions because they come into the cinema for the first time. They follow their friends. They follow their friends into the cinema. They didn't really know that they watched the movie. They love the movie. Then they now want to know everything about the character that they just saw. Who is Deadpool? Who is Wolverine? A lot of you in this place might not actually know who Deadpool or Wolverine are, but your boyfriend took you to the cinema to watch the movie. You watch the movie. You like the movie. Now you want to know everything about the character. I am not a bad guy, and that joke might not land, but it makes a lot of sense. It's something that happens, So people will create content ahead of time. People will rehash their old content, spruce it up a little bit, so that when people are coming out of the cinema, that's the first thing that they're doing. Oh, who was this? What did this? Where is this? What's the name of this place? It happens, right? Now, evergreen topics are cases that people will just regularly Google on a regular basis. Those ones, they happen. Then you can't, not evergreen topics are things that you write that are not really happening now. It's like you talking about What's a good example? I don't want to use Israel again, but Israel Hamas attacks on October 7th. If you're writing about it now as your main topic, you better have something new to say, or you better link it to something else, because it happened all the way in October 7th of last year. There's no real point talking about it now. It may rank a little bit, but it will immediately get swept under by what is currently happening now. Sorry, I get bias. I have recency bias. We all have it. But when we're thinking about things, we just think about the most recent thing that comes in our mind. All right, optimize your posts. Once you find your keywords and research your competition, dive into your article SEO by driving traffic to your site. SEO will help you grow your fan base and even start monetizing your blog. Also, check this guideline. Let's move on. Check this guideline for the ideal blog post length. Let's follow. Include your article's main keyword in the following places. Thankfully, let's ignore this. Oh God. Your post title, that's heading 1. Your first paragraph of your post. This was kind of what I was already explaining. The first part of your title tag, your meta description, the URL of your blog post page, and a couple of times in the posts or variations therefore. Let me just give you a quick example. Your post title, heading 1, your first paragraph of your post. Pay attention to these things. The first part of your title tag, your meta description. Your meta description, when you're about to post on WordPress, there's a place for meta description. Meta description is just for explaining what the article is for those that can't read, those that can't see, visually impaired. We'll talk about metadata and the rest coming soon. The URL of your blog post page itself, that's also what is useful. Let's move on. Remember to write for people, not for search engine. The rules of good writing still count. Don't keyword stuff, but don't just keyword anything, but naturally include these terms when writing about a specific topic. And don't worry, search engines have improved at understanding synonyms and variations of your keyword, so you can use them to avoid sounding repetitive. This is one thing I want to quickly hammer on, and I feel like I'm rushing, but we are kind of already towards the end. See, because I've told you now and I've given you tools, this is where you fall your hand if you call yourself a writer, right? Because I've given you tools now that will show you the best keywords to use. If you just use them all willy-nilly, you use them anyhow, my brother, your team will not rank, because Google too identify that. You can't just come and put, okay, you want your article to rank, and the word that is ranking highly now is fire on the mountain. You just type fire on the mountain 1,000 times and post. My God, let me not say anything, but you people will understand what I mean. It will not rank anywhere. Google will ask you, it's like you're smoking something. So, structure your content. This one may seem pretty obvious, but imagine a world in which articles don't have paragraphs, subheadings, or titles, and text appears in a stream of conscious type form. A blog post without any structure is not a pretty site, and search engines agree. So do users. And if you also want to improve your dwell time, that's how long people stay on your content, focus on content structure. I've already explained content structure to you guys. Headings is even here. Headings, subheadings, paragraphs. Don't just lump all your content into one place. Space it, give paragraphs. After about is a good tip. A key paragraph is about 300 words or less. It's like 200 words. It reduces and it varies per the place you're writing. But 300 words is the max. Once you start writing more than 300 words, it's no longer a paragraph. It looks chaotic. So stick to less. Don't you do 150 words. 150 words is not really a paragraph. That's like an extended sentence. But it can also be a paragraph depending on what comes after it. You can do a consistent 200 word paragraph each, then hit 150 at the end just to close it out. It works. But please, if you start writing 400 words as a paragraph, it is no longer a paragraph. It is just whatever it is. You have to be able to contain your idea to 300 words before moving to the next idea or the next iteration of what you're talking about. Does anybody understand? Please, I hope we all understand. I beg. and they give you people. I'm giving you the tidbits that you won't see anywhere else. You only learn this through experience. When you use different formats for your text, you give them a specific tag in the code. This is how search engines distinguish between different types of text and the hierarchy within the page. This all like pre-post content. There's a lot of stuff that goes into pre-post content. I think we'll cover that one of these days, maybe when we're doing content management system. And they say 300 words equals to one paragraph. I said 300 words should be the max. You can also do 350 if what you're explaining is really, everything is at your own discretion, but don't go too far. Yes, we are a chosen. Google, keep asking Google who he is. Google will tell you who he is. When your topic don't rank, you come back and tell Google to forgive you. HTML pieces are called H headings, and they range from heading 1 to heading 6 in descending order of importance. This means that heading 1 is the most important title of your article. Heading 1, usually you won't see heading 1, you just see heading, you just see title, and after your title, you will see heading 2, and so on and so forth. Think of it as reading a newspaper in which you have a main headline, sub-headlines, and paragraph text. Let's continue. Incorporate rich media. Since Google's algorithm determines rankings due to user behaviors, bloggers should try to keep their readers engaged for as long as possible. For example, adding a video or a podcast episode to your post may help readers stay on your page for longer, thus lowering your bounce rate. Now, by adding a blog, we don't mean add the full blog. Don't cannibalize your content. Take it's the same thing. Just take 5 minutes out of it. Sometimes you'll be writing about something and then there's a podcast that really did align with what you're writing, especially if it's just that paragraph. Take a section of the podcast. It's in importing media, the same way you import images. I don't know if I showed you guys how to import images, but it's kind of simple. That plus sign is there. The plus sign, whether on your WordPress or Medium, is where you can import different media from, right? Now, if somebody spends 2 minutes listening to a 2 minute clip on a blog and they come down and continue reading, they stay longer on your page. And Google wants people to stay longer on pages before moving. If somebody spends 10 seconds on your page, they are not going to rank it. Additionally, a search engine journal study found that videos that rank in SERP have a higher CTR than others. That's just bounce rates. This is why I recommend having a solid video marketing strategy for your blog or even starting a podcast. Start a podcast. If anybody tells you you can't start a podcast, start a podcast. It will help your blog. Me, I do guest appearances on podcasts because I don't really have the time to edit it and like sit down with a lot of people. But I am going to eventually start one. It's just there's not a lot of time in this life. Right? Let's continue. We're coming to the end now. Add alt text to images. Now, there's a famous saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. It's true for most people, but unfortunately, not for Google. They can't see images, so you need to add some context in the form of text. There's a place where you add images, you see it there for add alt text. It's just to describe what the image is. Adding alt text to your images helps search engines better understand and thus efficiently index them. Adding these little textual descriptions will also enable people to discover your images on Google image search, giving you more traffic to your website and ultimately gaining better blog SEO. Also, writing alt text into images is a good way to help those that are visually impaired. So those that like listen to your, if you notice that there are a lot of pages now that allow people to listen to what you're writing because they also want those that are visually impaired to read what you're writing. Okay, now I've just explained it. A great tip for writing is good to describe the image to a friend who can't see it. Alt text is also an important part of web accessibility. It allows those accessing your content via a screen reader to better understand your accompanying images. That's kind of what I've been talking about. Now, this is the last bit. Link internally. Ever wondered how a Google bot gets from one page to another? Probably not. I'll let you in on a secret. Links. Indeed, links are like a spider's web behind the scenes of your website pages. And I'll just give you a simple one for all these Jara. Control K is how you embed a link, for those of us that don't know. But when you're talking about things, especially when you have a very big blog, I do it a bit on my own blog. When I'll talk about something and I'll reference something I previously wrote, and then I'll link it so that the people can stay on my blog and Google can check that link, see that it's still what I'm talking about, and merge the two and keep it stuck together, making people, stay on the blog a bit longer. Because if I link to a previous work I wrote about, somebody, Control K is for embedding a link. You see it, just play around. You see how to do it when you're typing. You see why it's useful. So why it's useful? If somebody clicks my link, I embedded in the text, right? If somebody embeds my link, or I embed my link into my own content, and then somebody sets that, goes to that link and reads down my other content, then comes back and reads the other content that they were reading previously. That's like writing 2 articles at once. See? Very useful. You can also link other people's links to your work. It's a good way to kind of share the love on the internet. Google also ranks that when you link external links, they'll rank you highly because it's like you are not afraid to share the love around. Just don't do it too much because you might eventually push people to other sites. So that's kind of what it means to do linking internally. And okay. So finally, post frequently. Starting a blog involves some work. You can't expect to write one blog post and wait for visitors to start rolling in. Blogging is a bit like going to the gym. It's hard to do regularly, but the benefits are huge. We're not saying you need to write a 3,000 word post every day, but you can start by publishing weekly or bi-weekly. From my experience, blogging more frequently can greatly impact blog SEO. When you provide those hungry Google bots with your fresh and updated content, they'll keep coming back for more. Plus, you give the search engine more opportunities to rank your pages. To be honest, this is a rule of thumb for even social media. Blog on, post frequently. It's very useful. It's very useful. And I've explained it. So, the key to posting more frequently is simple. Be organized, post on a schedule, plan your blog in reality and in real time. Start an Excel sheet, create a table that includes each blog post publishing dates, writing deadline, some references, and your target keywords. Having a good overview like this will make you feel more in control and encourage you to stick to your schedule. To take some of your work off you, considering inviting experts in the field to write guest posts. Someone that writes a guest post for you twice a month will help alleviate when you're having writer's block, or you hire freelancers. I might start hiring freelancers, to be honest, just to get people to keep on writing for me. All right, children of God, we have come to the end of the lesson. I'm sorry that we essentially ate into our time, but I really wanted you guys to get the full length and breadth of SEO. And there's still more we're covering on Thursday, but this is essentially the main gist of it. We can only take a few questions. I know I ate into you guys' times. I beg, no verse. On Thursday, we can cover all of your questions. There's no real a lot of time to do that, but just a few questions, and then anyone I don't cover, we'll cover on Thursday. Now, about writing your articles in sections, I find it hard to read a long article, no matter how much it is sectionized or the fonts used. I avoid writing long articles. How long is an ideal article? An ideal article, 15 words. That's essentially what it is. 15 words is ideal. 1,000 is ideal. 800 is also ideal. What I will say is you need to do long form content writing because it's very important. It shows your authority. You can't really explain something to the fullest if you write in 500 words. When you say we should put the best as the last, are you saying we should feed people with the wrong name? No, 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 no. When you're writing, it is your own personal, it's more of your own opinion. Lists are opinion pieces, so you can mix up the way you want them. You're not feeding wrong information. A listicle will never be the outright best. Nothing you get, like it's like saying what's the best food in the world. Anybody can have their own opinion on that, and then ranking them is very personal. So, but there are things that people generally accept that are the best. It's like me saying pizza now is not that good. I'd be lying. But just because I want to make sure that everybody feels the type of way when they are reading it, I might say pizza is not the best, even though a lot of people like pizza. Now, what's the difference between a blog and an article? An article is in the blog. Articles are found in blogs, right? That's just the simple example. Blog is the hosting for a bunch of articles. Semantic SEO. Semantic SEO is more about not relating your search to the keyword, but relating your search to a topic and the intent behind what they are searching for. It's a new way of doing things because of AI. People don't want you just searching words. Do answer the public. Do answer the public. Do the same task as Reddit. Do answer the public. Do the same task as Reddit and Quora. No, Reddit and Quora don't really help you with keywords. Reddit will just show you what people are really talking about, real people are talking about, right? Can topic determine the narrative of the write-up? Yes. Do I use AI to write for clients? No. Please, if your client tells you don't use AI, please don't use AI. Even though most of them are not good at catching it. And why would you? I don't use AI to write because I'm like, they ask for me to write, especially when they want my own opinion on what I'm writing for. You get? Do repetition of keywords work for SEO? If you phrase them differently, you put them in variations, you put the words in different places, yes, that's what SEO really is at the end. It's like keywords that are repeated a lot of times. What's the difference between keywords and a topic? You've already said it. Keywords are phrases. A topic is the general intent behind what the person is searching for. Topic is the whole idea of what you're talking about. Keywords can be found within a topic. What if I carried a feasibility test or research on a particular content or product and there is a change in the product, but I have already put, no matter if you posted yesterday, that's why you can update it. You can go back to the post and update the post and say, due to the changes in the conditions of this product, blah, 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 there's new information that has come to light. What Hippo is just, what Hippo is like a way to refresh your words. If you find out you keep using the same words over and over again, what Hippo is a good way to, use different kinds of words you ordinarily wouldn't use. All the content I will be creating for Google to rank my website high, where will I get them? Content, you go and do research for content. That's where your acumen as a writer, or you ask ChatGPT if you're finding it hard to come up with content. ChatGPT will help. What are the tools for finding YouTube topics? That one is an entirely different one. We'll have to talk about that one at a later date. I'm going to note that down actually, because there's tools that people use for YouTube. Though you can do some random stuff on YouTube and blow. YouTube is a funny place. All right. I think I have a question. I was unable to submit help out. Send a message to the Telegram group about your inability to submit the assignment. Can someone do blogging and vlogging together? Yes, you can do blogging and vlogging together. Just put the blog. Just don't put all of the video on your blog. Put sections. All right, guys, I have tried. I am very tired. We've already reached our time. It was a blast with you guys today. Next week, on Thursday, we'll cover the ending of this. I really need to go now. Thank you so much, guys. You guys have been really good. I've had a lot of fun with you guys. Once again, you guys are always the best. Like I said, on Thursday, we're going to cover more on SEO. Then we're going to cover long-term content creation. And then we'll call it a week. Also on Thursday, I'm going to review some of you guys' assignments. So please submit, right? We'll just look at some of the good ones and then where there was space to improve. All right. Good night, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye. Like I said, you guys are the best. We will see on Thursday. And there's no hard. There's no hard to greet, please. You know what you people are talking about.